Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can see.
Yeah.
So that link you gave before was a different link.
Oh, okay. So where are the people from up here? And like we had Nikhil there, right? I guess. I don't know.
Yes, Nikhil and Basam. Basam was that silent guy.
Oh, okay. Should we
I'm
wait
just
for others?
pasting. Yeah, we wait for 2 minutes. I just
Okay.
pasted link in our Slack group. They,
Okay.
they both are online, so they will maybe they would like to join.
Okay.
Okay, since nobody is coming, we should keep.
Continuing, right? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So let's do a thing. Then we'll just stop the broadcast. Okay. Here.
So Basam had just joined.
Yeah. So now you were asking for okay. Jitendra was asking for a simple example of how we could use jQuery with Browserify, right?
Right.
So I just went ahead and installed jQuery,
So what was that source folder?
which that was within jQuery source.
So when we download the jQuery via npm, it
Correct.
downloads all the modules in separate files.
Correct.
Okay.
I
So can
was
we
talking.
select which module to use and which not?
Yeah, that's how we require, right?
Okay. If we use jQuery CDN link, then we can't. We will have to use the whole jQuery library.
Yeah. So I will go to my index.js, and I was talking about the unique example here. So I'll just remove it for now, and I will go ahead and require jQuery.
So this index.js is a convention of using Browserify.
Yeah, not really Browserify, but no, normally I follow it for all node modules I do. So it could be anything. Just
Okay.
index in the sense it helps you to know the entry point, right? Like we have index.html or call it
Okay.
main.js or whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So when I do
So what is B index?
browserified index is just for the convention. Actually, what happens is there will be a we should have a build direct. You should have a public directory where all your scripts which gets built or which gets converted browserified will go and land in there, right? So just for
So
the
that
demo, I'm calling it B index.
so in our actual HTML page, should we
Mm-hmm.
include bindex.js or index.js?
B index.js. That's the whole point, right? So if you notice, um, in index.js, we just required and console log dollar, right? But if you go to
Right.
your index.js, this is what you see. You see the entire source of jQuery that was there.
Right. All modules.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then you have function at the beginning. This is where all the magic happens, where it is trying to give definitions for require module and exports. That's why CommonJS module.exports or require works in the browser because it got browserified. Right now, if you go to our index.html in script, I'm requiring bindex.js, right?
Right.
Now, if we serve index.js, do you see something wrong in this?
So no, no, we need closing script tag.
Is that mandatory?
I think yes, according to web W3C.
Right. Even the syntax highlight. Right. All right. Now, correct. I'm not sharing my browser yet, right?
No.
Just a second. I'll switch to my browser. Hmm. Are you able to see it now?
No.
Okay. Now,
Yes, now I can see.
yeah, on 3000, I'm serving the index.html.
Yes.
So the console log dollar, what we were giving, right,
Yes.
is here actually. So I'm putting a debugger there. You're refreshing. It came here. If I resume, you can see console.log did log whatever dollar is. Dollar has selector and context is the jQuery object, right? Here.
Right.
So that's how it kind of helped us to require jQuery, even though we are writing it in a common module syntax or node style require syntax, right? Browserify
Right.
converted that code so that it runs on browser. So I had lots of things in the plate to talk about, but let's see. We kind of already ran out of time today. I don't know. I had plans to talk about Browserify transforms, how Browserify transforms works, and what basically they are. So let me try to give a small look into what a Browserify transforms. This was a simple example where we were uh, requiring Node.js and then using Browserify to convert the script so that it kind of runs on the browser, right? Uh,
Right.
say
So
say
in so in this example,
mhm.
when you the jQuery which was folder which was downloaded via npm,
Uh-huh.
and small uh, partials of all the jQuery uh, modules, right? So
Mm-hmm.
how we can disable if if any particular part of the jQuery we know that we are not going to use, then how to render our index bIndex.js without that jQuery module.
Yeah, whatever jQuery gives by default would be there in itself. But say if jQuery is giving you support to require only certain parts of it modularly. Say for example, you want only the Ajax XHR part of it, or you want only events out of it, right?
Right.
So you would probably just go ahead and require only that module which you need. That's where it gets beneficial. Say for example, you could do an require Ajax/XHR, right? I've just
Right.
pinged in the chat. So if you're requiring only that, there's a feedback. Okay, so it would
Yeah,
help.
Uday had just joined.
Okay, hi Uday.
Hi, hi Uday, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm sorry guys for the feedback. I just put it on mute. I joined by the phone and then I joined on the desktop. That's my mistake.
Aha, not an issue.
So
Uh,
Uday, are you using Browserify?
Yes, I am.
yeah, Jitendra was interested to talk to hear about more on Webpack, but I said I'm more of a Browserify guy. So we were on Appearin and we were trying to uh, talk about how Browserify works and see a small
Mhm.
example. So far we saw a simple example of using jQuery and unique module and see how basically Browserify helps us to um, get the code converted so that it works on the browser, right? And in
Right.
the chat I'm passing a link where it says why to use Browserify and how it could solve the same problems which Webpack is trying to solve.
Hmm.
So okay, so where were we? Yeah, I was talking about transforms. Say for example, you have written some code in ES6, right? And or you're using a module which is in ES6, and you wanted to browserify it and then run it on the browser, right? So there's something an interesting feature that Browserify gives is called transform, where you could use an -t option on your command line, right? I'm just pasting it in the chat window. Say for example, script.js is your file which has ES6 or ES7 syntax in it, right? And
Okay.
you just say browserify script.js, then say -t, that's transfer, and then transform, and then say babelify, and output it to bundle.js.
So that
So
output code will be compatible to all browsers.
exactly, it will be in ES5 because
Okay.
we are using babelify. Now you would ask what babelify is, right?
It's like a
Babelify.
CSX next for JavaScript, if I'm right.
Babel is, but what Babelify is basically, if I'm sharing the screen in the window, so I'm passing the same link in the chat as well. So Babelify basically is a Browserify transfer. So what basically does it takes the let's go to the source itself, so it will be easy for you to see and understand.
So
I'll just yeah,
so Babel is just is a polyfill for ES6, right?
no, it's not a polyfill, rather it's a transpiler.
What is the difference between polyfill and transpiler?
Transpiler converts your code from one thing to other.
Okay.
Say it's transpiling from ES6 to ES5. Polyfill
Okay.
is some feature where you go ahead and write your own. Say for example, array.includes is one of the features of ES6 which could be polyfilled by writing your own definition to it, right?
So Polyfill is
Okay.
about adding functionality to the browser. Uh, this one, transpiling is all about writing code in a script that you like to write, and it compiles it to all browsers based on the
So
lowest.
so, like, so CoffeeScript is a transpiler.
Yes,
Uh,
copy, TypeScript, all those gets transpiled into JavaScript, right?
yeah, it is not a transpile in itself. It is a kind of a language could be transpiled to JavaScript. So it is a different syntax altogether, but it still gets transpiled to JavaScript.
Yeah, but we'll have to convert it into normal JS because browsers do not understand CoffeeScript, if I'm right.
Yeah, that process itself is called transpilation.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were talking about transforms. Well, let me write a small example of how transfers work. So I have to share my text editor. Just a second. If you see, write your own transforms. We could just talk about this and then see the example, right? I have already installed through2, so I was planning to talk about this. Are you able to see my
Browser.
just the browser? Is it? Hold on. Um, Now you are able to see my editor, right?
Yes.
So I had already installed through2. So to understand this, you should understand what streams are. So I will not be talking about what streams are. I'll just talk about how Browserify transforms work. So say in this example, where we are using through2 module, right? That gives us a callback with the buffer encoding and the next. So we were converting the buffer to string and then replacing the term $CWD with the process.current working directory. So we would also require process. Uh, Now, how basically transform work is, say in this folder, let's go ahead and create one more JS file. Let's call it say whatever, say test.js, and so I would be just setting a variable which says present working directory is current working directory. All right. So if I switch back to my uh, console, you're seeing my screen, right?
No.
No. Oh, okay. You should have told me. Just a second.
Hemant, you could probably share whole of your screen.
Are you able to see it now?
Yes, you have Sublime Text.
Yes. So that's what I was talking about. So here I am using the through module, which gives me buffer encoding in the next. So I'm converting buffer to string using toString method on it, and then replacing the current working directory with process.current working directory. All right. In my test, I have where present working directory is equal to $CWD. So what basically I'm doing is how Browserify transform work is, say you have on the CLI, if you say Browserify -t, and the transform, I should rather call this, instead of index.js, just call it something else, say t.js for now. So I would say /t.js. That's the transform you need to apply on test.js. Now what basically happens while doing this is, it goes to this file and gets each of them in chunks. That's the buffer, and then we are replacing the current working directory with process.current working directory. So I'll just go to the terminal and hit it, verify t and test.js.
We can't see your terminal.
Yeah, I will just redirect it to some file so that you could see that in browser. That's what whatever I've just typed here, right? The same thing I'm hitting it on the terminal. I'll call it, say, result.js. You saw result.js came in in my editor.
Yes.
So if I go to result.js, where this whole thing has got replaced with user Heyman labs browserify intro. That's my present working directory. So that's how basically transforms works. So if you see, we were seeing into this Babelify transform, right? I can see.
Could you go back to the
Yeah.
arrays? Could you
I'm.
go back to the
You want to go back to the result? Okay, hold on. Yeah,
yeah? So what's the function in front of it,
this one, right? That's what I was talking.
starting of the file?
I've mentioned that many times. This is the magic where, if you see, require module and exports are the three things that won't be there in the browser. But yet Browserify takes care so that all your node modules works in the browser. That's where it's defining what require means, what module means, and what export means, and how they should work.
Yeah, but the transpiled file doesn't require this because you are just replacing the CWD string there. So what's the requirement of this in the browser then?
Yeah, but I'm requiring the through here, right? In the t.js transform.js, I'm requiring through
Mm-hmm.
to, and I'm requiring
Yeah,
process,
yeah, I
and
did get that, but
I'm doing module.export.
yeah, I got that, but you're still adding like dead code there for the browser.
No, it is not dead code because this thing won't work, right? You feel this whole thing is dead code. Yeah, in this case it
No.
might be, but this is a simple example to show how transform works. But when it's a Babelified code, right? When you have an
Mm-hmm.
huge ES6, suppose you're converting this whole t.js, you're converting, you're browserifying t.js itself to say as for example b.index we were speaking about, where we had jQuery required. So the required statement itself is getting converted, then we would need this. I agree, but this is a very silly example just to show how transforms work.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just to
So
add something to it, Jitendra, are you familiar with React.js?
I have just
yeah,
heard its name.
yeah, I've been playing with it, and I've been playing with React Native as well.
No, I was just trying to give this context to Jitendra that the step that happens when you compile the JSX to JS, uh, there is a transformer for that. There is a transform package in Browserify for that as well.
Yeah, it's basically not in Browserify, but a supporting module that someone
Yes,
else has published.
yes,
Yeah,
just like the one you showed us right now, right?
yeah, like Babelify, we have Reactify.
Exactly.
So one of the neat ways to look whether we have transforms or not is to search by the keywords that npm has, which has Browserify transform in it. Normally, if I is also a nice way to search for it. Excuse.
We
So
can't share screen.
oh, okay. Hold on. Share the screen and share. Okay. So what I was telling was all this ify is normally arrayify, dotify, umdify, generatify normally are browserify.
Okay.
Arrayify need not be. Let me see. Someone is still trying to come into uh, appears in. Anyway, let's continue here. So where was I? Yeah, here. So it's basically Browserify. We were talking about Babelify, right? Yeah. So if let's go to the source. I think the source is here only. So if you go to the source, we go to the index. You are able to see it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The small example what I was giving there for transforming the file. If we look at the crux of it, this is all that's needed here. Line number 27, where it's transforming the data with whatever options we pass, and whatever code we get is the final code. So if we see the same thing we were doing, where we were doing this dot push on each and replacing the current working directory, right? This is the crux of the whole code where the transform is happening. and these are all the supporting boilerplates you can say. This is the crux of the whole transform. So if you do a module.export, basically is module.exporting Babelify there. So when you do -t Babelify, it would go there and it would get the chunk of data, and here is adding the buffer that would be in this underscore data, and this underscore ops is whatever options you pass to your Babelify configuration, and the dot code would be the final output. So that was the basic example of uh, replacing current working directory that I was showing. It makes sense. Hello.
Hey,
Yeah.
can you?
It makes sense now.
Yep.
Sorry, I joined in the middle of everything, so I'm not sure where we are right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Maybe.
we are at the end already now.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of a mess, Nikhil. Sorry about experimenting with Appear, I thought it would
No
go well.
problem. No problem. No problem. I think given that it's WebRTC, right, your connection needs to be really, really fast for it to, be able to peer through to like what they have a limit of up to 8 people.
8 people. Yeah, 8 people.
Yeah,
But we weren't 8 there yet.
yeah. Yeah. So even with three of us, it was lagging pretty bad.
Yeah. I think you guys have replied on that. I'm not sure. Jitendra has replied.
Yeah, I just wanted to inform that we have moved to this hangout.
Hmm.
Well, that's a burn.
Yeah, but that's okay. We're getting there. WebRTC will definitely bend slowly. Cool. Then let's make notes and let's keep sharing. Let's chat and let's try to write a transformer up for ourselves and uh, take it from there.
Hey, quick question.
Yeah.
The Babelify thing that you just showed, does that do live ES6 to ES5 in the browser?
Before it hits the browser, when you're
Okay,
doing
before.
Browserify, right? We were talking
Right.
about transfer. How do you write Browserify transforms?
Okay, I see.
The Browserify, Babelify is also one kind of such transform.
Right. Okay,
So.
so going back to my earlier question here.
Mm,
So if I need to add something to Browserify, right?
mm.
Do I put it in my package.json that you have, or is that package.json for your server side and then Browserify does it for your whichever
Yeah.
files you provided?
So Browserify really doesn't do that. So you have your dependencies installed. What Browserify does is it resolves all your dependencies. It kind of reads the abstract syntax tree and analyzes what are all the things you have required, and
Right.
then it says how are they dependent and how it could resolve with least number of required statements.
Okay, I
Right.
see. Right.
So
Yeah.
in the Sublime editor, what you're seeing there, I was explaining how you could write a simple transform,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what transform basically does is the commented part. So you have browserify -t,
Yep.
then your transform, and then your file. So here my test.js had something like present working directory is equal to $current working directory,
Mm-hmm.
and the resultant finally had the present working directory where the current working directory was replaced by my current working directory that I got
Right.
from process.
Right. Okay, understood. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So that's where we are so far.
Right.
And
Okay, cool. Thanks.
cool then, guys. So let's take it from here and let's keep the discussion on, and we'll probably on the over the mail, Slack, or anywhere, and
Okay.
let's try to read the internals. I had that also in my agenda, but I couldn't. We're 20 minutes ahead of our schedule. So my idea was to go through how Browserify works. I had cloned the repo, and we could also try to contribute to the repo if something needs to be added or something needs to be improved.
Okay.
Cool. Let's try to do that in the next session, or probably we'll keep this discussion active on Slack.
Sounds
Okay.
good, man. But for that, you need to be active on Slack more often.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be. I'm much of an IRC guy yet. You
Right.
you can find me on Freenode. I'm still Hemant on Freenode, so you can find me there as well.
Okay.
Cool. Cool. Thank you for your time, guys. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks a lot, Hemant.
Yeah,
I'll see you.
Thank you.
yeah. Hello. Good night then.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.